A little girl grabbed a billionaire's sleeve and screamed, "Don't get in that car," in Mandarin. If a stranger's kid said that to you under the glow of a hotel canopy, would you listen? Or step over her and climb in? My name is Simone, and I was supposed to be the woman who keeps the party pretty and the donors happy. The gala inside sparkled like money always does, the string quartet, the clink of glasses, the fake laughter that comes easy when your name is on the program. Outside at the curb, though, the air had that metallic taste before a storm, and I'd already seen this little girl 3 times, cornrows fuzzed at the edges, purple t-shirt 2 sizes old, eyes trained on one man like she recognized the wolf and the shepherd at the same time. Jonathan Blake. Tech billionaire, the guy who wrote one check big enough to float the whole evening, the guy who hadn't looked at me once even though I'd built his night to the inch. His town car slid up smooth, driver hopped out, rear door opened like a mouth, and he was 3 steps away when the girl launched from behind a planter, both hands on his sleeve, voice like broken glass and bravery. She poured out English and Chinese words tripping over each other. Device. Tonight. Accident. The American will be gone before midnight. I don't speak Mandarin, but terror is bilingual. You feel it like bass through your ribs. Security moved because that's what security does, and I moved too because the way that kid shook wasn't performance, it was survival. "Everyone back," Jonathan said, not loud, just final. He dialed, said the words nobody wants to say at a curb, where valets still jog for tips, and in 5 minutes it was blue lights, yellow tape, and whispering rich people trying to look helpful. A bomb tech slid a camera under the chassis, froze, signaled. The officer raised his voice. "We need everyone farther back." The driver looked offended, the assistant hissed about optics, and Jonathan's face drained to the color of printer paper. He put a hand on the girl's shoulder like he was afraid to break her. "What's your name?" "Amara," she whispered. "Like names can be stolen if you say them too loud." "You just saved my life, Amara," he said, "and yeah." She cried then, which is what happens when your body realizes it gets to stop running for 10 seconds. "Tell me the truth, if it were you. What would you have done, argued with PR, or followed the shaking kid?" The detective wanted statements at the curb, like trauma should be filed under fluorescent streetlight. I said no, not with a child, not in the cold. Jonathan said, "We'll do it at my place," and the detective frowned because that's not regular, and Jonathan said, "Neither is attempted murder." He turned to me for the first time that night. "She trusts you. Will you come?" It wasn't a question so much as a hand held out over water. I took it. We rode in a cruiser because every other car felt like a dare. His penthouse took up the 40th floor windows, pretending to be walls furniture that looked like you'd get in trouble for sitting on it. Amara whispered, "Is this heaven?" And he said, "No, but you're safe here." And that's when I realized the man knew how to say the right thing without sounding like a movie line. Before questions, he called for food and clean clothes, asked me to help with a bath, because hunger and cold and embarrassment are bars on the same cell. In a bathroom that could host a yoga class, I saw bruises fading along bony arms, ribs counting themselves out loud. "When did you last eat?" I asked, holding a towel like it could fix anything. "Yesterday," she said, "a man at the bakery gave me a roll. People say they care, but they keep walking. You know what I mean?" While she ate soup at a low table, the detective recorded her statement. She repeated the Chinese words carefully, what she'd heard near the kitchen door, the part about the device, the timing, the insistence on getting him into the car. She told us how she learned languages at the market, how vocabulary is currency when you're small and hungry. Then the detective left and real life took the mic. "I'm calling social services," Jonathan said, "because that's the handbook answer." Amara grabbed my wrist, not hard, just all the way. "Please don't. Group homes are worse. I'll leave." I won't bother you. Just don't call them. If you've never heard a child negotiate her own safety like a plea bargain, consider that grace you didn't earn." He set the phone down. "What if we do this the right way?" He said. "Lawyers, social workers, whatever it takes. And what if you stay too?" He looked at me not like a billionaire used to getting yes, but like a man trying to build a bridge with two planks. I said yes before fear could rewrite the sentence. Morning came with shopping bags and a lawyer named Patricia and a social worker named Angela. Bags had our sizes, correctly, which is either spooky or efficient, depending on how much sleep you got. Patricia laid out emergency placement foster rules, background checks, home studies. Angela walked the apartment with soft eyes that saw everything. "You're an unusual household," she said, bachelor event coordinator. "He just met traumatized child. The court will have questions." She watched me braid Amara's hair and asked what I was giving up. I told her the truth. My tiny apartment, my planned schedule, the shell I built around a heart that had seen enough. "So why stay?" she asked. I looked at Amara's reflection in that mirror, the girl who ran toward danger to warn a stranger. "Because she ran to us first," I said. "We did the small things that make big things possible. Breakfast that wasn't out of a wrapper. A bath that didn't feel like shame. Rules that were explained, not enforced, like traps." Jonathan made pancakes, terrible at first, better by the third round. He laughed like he hadn't in years. He told us about Lily, the little sister he lost when he was 12, how he ran faster than grief and forgot how to stop. It didn't excuse anything, it just mapped his loneliness. A retired teacher named Beth showed up with a jar of coins and turned math into a kitchen game. Amara lit up the way kids do when someone speaks fluent "you matter." Grandma Helen arrived with a purple unicorn and a gaze that could sort truth from performance in one blink. And then, because peace never comes alone, Tom, the head of security, sat us at the island and told us the device under the car wasn't random. A rival named Richard Chin, money lawyer's desperation. "They may try leverage," Tom said, looking at Amara, looking at me. He slid cards across the marble. "Call for anything that smells wrong, even if you can't name it." We changed cars, routes, drivers. I explained security to Amara like a seatbelt. Not because we think we'll crash, because we're smart if we buckle up. "Do I still get to go to school?" she asked. "Yes," we said, and wrote a plan that made yes true even on bad days. Pattern interrupt. Attention makes everything louder. Jonathan brought us to a tech awards night he couldn't dodge. On stage, he did something billionaires don't do often. He thanked the women who saved him. He said becoming a father meant more than any acquisition. Cameras flashed headlines, did what headlines do, and suddenly our quiet fight had an audience. Mid-video break. Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind. 2 mornings later, an average-looking man slipped into Jonathan's office building, past a side entrance no one uses unless they know it exists. Tom's team moved. Jonathan hit a switch I didn't know was there, and a panel opened into a reinforced room with screens and air filtered like a submarine. We watched on a monitor as the man raised his hands, empty eyes, tired. "My name is Eric Wade," he said. "I was part of it. I'm done running." Not a threat, a twist. He said Chin had sold him a story about protecting his job, that removing Jonathan would even the field that he'd let fear dress up as logic. "I'm here to make it right," he said to the camera like he knew we were watching. He gave names, roots, the ugly how of it all. He wore a wire. The police picked up Chin in a coffee shop where pretenders go to act normal. Chin said the things men say when their plans collapse. "I'm sorry I lost perspective. I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt." Like intent erases impact. Trials take time, but blessings don't always wait. In January, we stood in a courtroom with sunlight flooding wood benches and a judge who looked tired of bad stories and hungry for one that ends well. "Petition granted," she said. Jonathan Michael Blake is the legal father of Amara Nicole Blake. Amara cried like someone turned off the alarm that had been going for years. We went to Rosa's kitchen, a tiny place with plastic tablecloths and rice and beans that taste like someone loves you, because celebration should feed the part of you that was empty the longest. Do you think that's fair? That a girl had to save the right man at the right curb to get here while other kids wait months or years for a safe bed? I ask myself that on quiet nights. I don't always like my own answers. Somewhere between depositions and dancy kitchen mornings, Jonathan and I stopped pretending we weren't falling. It wasn't fireworks, it was a long exhale. We told Amara answered every question promised. The order of love wouldn't change. We got married on the beach an hour up the coast, purple flowers because that's her color. A small crowd of people who actually showed up when showing up was work. At sunset, the three of us tucked into one hug and felt like the world finally lined up with the story we were choosing to tell. Chin's trial ended the way truth wanted. Guilty across the board. Wade testified not like a hero, like a man trying to walk the long road back with his eyes open. Tom stood a little lighter. We didn't dance on anyone's grave. We went home and made breakfast, because that's how families win. And then we took all the attention and turned it into structure. Lily's Hope, named after the sister Jonathan, lost, started with motel vouchers and after-school tutoring, then scaled into a full campus. Apartments with keys that actually turn a clinic classrooms. A big kitchen where community tastes like garlic and laughter. Job training that doesn't just give a certificate and a pat on the back. If you've ever wondered whether money can do more than gleam in a portfolio, yes, but only if people do the work too. Attention also brings people who don't know where to put their hope. A man showed up at Amara's school fence one afternoon asking for her. Security intervened fast. His name was Thomas Rivera, homeless 3 years now in a training program trying to hand a thank you to the kid whose story pushed him through one more week of hard. Should he have been there? No. Did I understand the impulse? Absolutely. Tom checked him out. Jonathan almost handed him cash, then didn't. "We run programs," he said, "housing training, real help." We enrolled Thomas that day. A month later, he was drinking bad coffee in our center's break room, laughing at a joke, looking human again. Yeah, that happened. Life stayed life. Pancakes on Tuesdays because ritual is therapy. Chess on Thursdays because patience is a muscle. Homework at the kitchen table because learning sticks better when it smells like dinner. We messed up, apologized, tried again. I once cried over shoes left in a hallway, and it turned into a conversation about how control is a cheap drug. You know what I mean. Then came the little heartbeat that changes the rhythm of your house. I found out I was pregnant. Told Jonathan on our beach at dusk, cried happy tears that tasted like salt and relief. We told Amara, gently bracing for the question that makes all the air leave a room. Will you love the baby more because she's really yours? I took both her hands. Real isn't blood, I said. Real is who shows up, who keeps showing up, even on Thursdays after a long day. She nodded, not all the doubt gone, but enough for now. We named our daughter Lily Grace when she came early and loud, and the first thing Amara did was lean close and whisper hello in every language she'd learned to survive. That's when I knew we were going to be okay. We kept the press at a distance. We did one White House ceremony because it helped fund the work, then went back to room service in pajamas because we're not the banquet type. Jonathan stepped down as CEO, became chair, spent his mornings at the center, and his afternoons making dinner more often than his old life would believe. Beth agreed to run education. Helen became everyone's grandma opinions included. The center model spread to other cities because when something works, you share the recipe, not just the picture. Now I need to end this in a way that's honest. You want the neat bow, the last shot with snow outside and cocoa mugs steaming, and children sleeping angelic, but neat bows are for gifts, not for lives. Here's the messy truth. Our story went viral because a rich man almost died, and a brave kid stopped him. That's compelling. Cameras like shiny fear and tidy redemption. But there are kids right now under bridges, in doorways, in motels by the highway, and nobody's rolling tape. There are moms counting coins in parking lots, dads sleeping on buses between shifts, teenagers who speak 3 languages learned the hard way and can't get anyone to listen to a single sentence. Systems that should catch them don't, or they catch and bruise. So here's the controversy I'll hand you with both palms open. Should stories like ours be necessary for help to arrive? Should private philanthropy be the bridge where public will refuses to pour concrete? Do you think it's our job to build centers and write checks and solve the problems policy dodges? Or do you think arguing about who should help wastes time while people sink? I go back and forth. Most days I land here. I don't care who gets the credit as long as the kid gets a bed, a book, and a person who shows up. But I also vote like lives depend on it, because they do. If it were you at that curb, would you have listened to the little girl, or would you have stepped over her because the valet held your door open? Would you take in a child if she grabbed your sleeve, or would you dial a number and hand her off to people whose plates are already too full? Would you forgive a man like Wade if he told the truth and backed it up with hard choices? Do you think any of this is fair, or is fair the wrong metric, and we should be aiming for right? I can tell you what we chose again and again. To listen to the voice nobody else heard, to trade optics for oxygen, to turn fear into work, to make pancakes, to show up, to write names on forms and hearts, until the world caught up to what love already knew. This kid belongs, this family counts. This story can ripple past our front door. Now it's your turn. Tell me where you would have stood at that curb, what you would have done, whether you think systems need stories like ours, or whether stories like ours are proof the system's broken. Drop your take in the comments, argue with me if you need to share your own moment where you had to choose between comfort and courage. And if you know someone who thinks hope is naive, share this with them. I've got a little girl who can translate hope into 5 languages and a kitchen that never runs out of pancakes.